Welcome back to the channel. This game continues Nigel's tournament in the Esbjerg tournament in Denmark. This is played in the round 8 and it features his game against his old nemesis Tony Miles. The game started as a Nimzo-Indian defence. Black challenges the centre. And black gains the 2 bishops temporarily. But after a3 he has to exchange the bishop back. And black tries to clamp down on the king's side, on the queen's side, excuse me. And both sides castle. And f4 looking to break at f5 at a given point, which Nigel stops by g6. It looks slightly weakening, but it's fairly strong to stop the f5 break. And the trade of white bishops and b6 to try and undermine the pawn chain. And black's doing okay here. I think he's equalised quite comfortably. And white continues to try to push on the king side. And does break with f5. So temporarily sacrificing a pawn. Nigel duly takes the pawn. And here Tony decides to take the pawn on c5. I'm assuming this is to prevent queen to b6. But I think g takes f5 would have been better. And now Nigel hits the pawn on c5. And grabs the c pawn. And I think black's got a very pleasant position now. He's got the passed d pawn. And he's actually a pawn up. And white hasn't really got any conversation with the pawn. He's got the open e file, but I think black's doing quite well. So the pawns exchanges now. White's going to try and get into h6 with the queen at some point. Actually now. And this looks quite scary, but Nigel puts his knight on e4, which is a lovely outpost for it. And this also allows queen to g5 check to trade the queens at any given point. White continues with the kingside attack. Obviously the rook aiming for h3 or h3 probably. So Nigel hits the knight, which retreats to c3. This does give up the b pawn, but if it had gone to c7, I think the queen to g5 check would have been quite strong. So Nigel goes to the b pawn, is now 2 pawns up. And white looks like he's in a bit of trouble. He could have tried to play knight takes a4 instead of king to h1 after rook to c2. Rook to h3. Again, the queen to g5 check is the key move, forcing the trade of queens. And black's in a very nice position. Even though he's only a pawn up, white's pawns are split, and he still has the strong d pawn, and his pieces are more active. But Tony played king to h1. To try and get around trading the queens, but Nigel played queen to g5 anyway, forcing the trade of queens. But white does grab the d pawn, so he's got one of the pawns back. And here, I think Tony makes a mistake by defending the knight with the rook, inadvertently putting himself in a pin. I think knight to f6 would have been a better move. Check. And that's a clever. This would be a clever move from Nigel to threaten the h pawn. So white would be forced to defend. I think black would still be better here, but white would have a bit better chances possibly than what was played, because rook to d3 seems to just tie him down completely. This is a nice move from Nigel, just getting out of the check from the knight. And rook to f4 is actually a mistake, and would have allowed Nigel to win the game by rook to b1 check, and then rook to b5. And the idea is if rook fd4, then knight to e6 would win the rook or win the knight, or so he would have to give up the knight, and this would be totally winning for him. Nigel didn't play it. He played knight to h3, which is offering trade of the knights, which white takes. And has to play rook to f3 to stop the checkmate. He could have played rook to f1 as well. But more trades of the rooks, and then black's going to gobble up the a pawn eventually. But now black can just improve his position. Now white can't really do anything. He's cut the king off. Black's cut the king off, and eventually his king's going to come in, and the pawn's going to start rolling on the king side. And to be fair, white could have resigned at any point. He does get the a pawn, but of course now the black king can come in. And this was the final mistake of the game, because after trading the rooks, king to e2, and the f pawn can't be stopped, and will queen before white's b pawn. Very nice game from Nigel, very positional, but a very good win against the Grandmaster. Now was +3 in the tournament and playing very well and beating some strong Grandmasters, and well on his way to his last GM norm. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the videos, and I'll be back with some more videos in due course. Bye for now.